29 September 2020, and this is JCTV Zimbabwe, and we're simulcast on Gambakwe Media, that is on Facebook and also on YouTube. We are glad to have you on board, and today we are looking at the sticking issues that are happening around in Zimbabwe, and I'm joined by my friend here, Pardon Gambakwe. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosiki. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I mean, there's a lot that has been happening since we spoke, and there's a lot that we have been covering up today about the issue of the occupancy by some group that came to Harvest House. But that is not the main issue. The issue is that the government has come out through the State Security Minister, Mr. Owen Muda, and they've said that MDC are planning to bring guns to Zimbabwe. Those are serious allegations. What do you make of that statement by the Security Minister, Mr. Owen Muda?
Okay, so I want to start at the beginning. When you see a statement by the State Security Ministers, it means there's something quite important that they need to communicate.
Yes.
And the accusations that they were putting out, they are very serious allegations. For example, they are accusing Western countries of helping Chamisa to smuggle guns into Zimbabwe. And they're also accusing Chamisa of setting up democratic resistance committees with the intention of causing an unconstitutional change of government. So these are very serious allegations. It's not the normal allegations that they make. But obviously, you don't expect that to be made in a press conference. It's not a rally. So when you see Mnangagwa, let's say he's doing a rally and he says that, it's different from a state security sort of like minister or security cluster ministers saying the same thing.
Yes.
It means they must have evidence to back up what they're saying in the form of intelligence. So that is the first thing I wanted to say.
Yeah.
The second thing I wanted to say was that they also mentioned something called Operation Lighthouse. And this is something new. I've tried to find out what this Operation Lighthouse is. And they say this Operation Lighthouse is being sponsored or is being funded by another Western government. Right. So if you look at this, they are looking at it as a threat on Mnangagwa's government. That's the bigger picture.
Yes. But my question also comes is that you saw, I think 2 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago, when the Minister of Home Affairs, Home Affairs Minister, I don't know if I'm mixing between the two, Kazembe, he came out and they spoke about the coup, the imminent coup that was about to happen, and the TNA that was being spoken about. But we have not seen the telltales of that. Isn't it a trick or a way of trying to inflict pain on the opposition party leaders under the guise of saying that they are planning something to overthrow the government? Isn't it a plan of that nature?
Okay. I want to start by mentioning that Nelson Chamisa has tweeted that he's not importing any guns. And Fadzai Maher has come out and she made a video where she's also denying that the MDC is importing or smuggling guns. However, there is someone right now who is importing weapons into Zimbabwe, because you saw the Chivu shooting.
Yes.
That shooting was done by a military person.
Yes.
In my own opinion, it's not just an ordinary person that shot that soldier or who shot those two soldiers. So there is intelligence that the Zimbabwe government obviously have recovered or have received.
Yes.
As part of that investigation.
Yes.
But they want to blame it on Chamisa. I don't think it's
Yeah.
Chamisa who is importing guns. If someone is importing guns, I think it's another party, somebody else. If it's someone in MDC Alliance, it won't be Chamisa. It will be someone at another level who is not the politicians.
Yes.
Maybe someone sympathetic to Chamisa, but that would be stupid of Chamisa himself to start importing guns. What would that help him?
Yeah, because it strikes me as something that is similar. You recall in the 1981 leading up to the massacres that happened in the Matabeleland area, it was him then, now the current President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who came out and he spoke about dissidents, and they mentioned something about fumigating them like cockroaches, and you know what ensued. And this is something that the people in Matabeleland do not want to hear about, because it opens up some wounds. And they recall some such statements. Are we not going to see a clampdown on the opposition party leaders, or even other people who are just being caught up in the crossfire of some factional fights that are happening within the ZANU-PF ranks?
Okay, that's a very, very good question. But let me take you to the stakeholders here. Chamisa is very, very weak at the moment. There is nothing that Chamisa can do politically as we speak at the moment. He cannot take over in Zimbabwe. If there was a demonstration today, Chamisa would not be able to become the next president of Zimbabwe. The only person that can be the next president of Zimbabwe is someone in ZANU-PF. So the threat on Mnangagwa is not coming from Chamisa. It's coming from within ZANU-PF. So if someone is smuggling guns,
they cannot pinpoint who is it exactly.
Yes, they see Chamisa as someone who is being backed, for example, by G40.
Yes.
G40, if they were to back Chamisa, he's got the general support of the people. But there's nothing that Chamisa can do alone. He cannot go and say, I do a demonstration and I remove Mnangagwa in ZANU-PF. It's not possible. ZANU-PF right now cannot be removed until 2023. And in 2023, with the way the opposition is divided, you cannot remove ZANU-PF in 2023. So the only way to remove ZANU-PF now is if a ZANU-PF person wants to form some sort of coalition with Chamisa and maybe the other opposition party, and then they remove Mnangagwa and put an NTA.
Yeah, so let's look at some of the, you spoke about G40, but let's look at other members of the ruling party who have been expelled. Let's look at the likes of Godfrey Tsenengam. Let's look at the likes of Kila Zivu, the likes of Louis Matutu, and other members who are disgruntled, like the likes of Pupraito Garepi. Do you think that these guys can form a pact, or can be a threat to ZANU-PF, even if would they have the backing of the army or the backing of the generals?
Okay, the guys you've mentioned, they are foot soldiers. You remember during the last coup, there was a guy called Esi Lumumba. He was very, very effective in communicating, and there were guys like Kudamsa Siwa, guys in a movement called This Flag.
Yes.
Remember this flag?
Yes.
They laid the foundation for the coup. By the time the coup happened, everyone was psyched up and was ready. At the moment, people are not psyched up. They're not ready. So if you're going to have a coup, it's not going to be a bloodless coup. It's going to be a fight. Because people are not ready. Right now, if you look at what is happening, you can't say, let's remove Mnangagwa now and replace him with this person.
Yes.
Will have change. It just doesn't appear like there's going to be change from a coup. So these guys are mentioning, they don't have the critical mass or the support, which will make them swing the country in a certain direction. So Tsenengam is not popular. Kilazivu is not popular. All these guys have mentioned. The only popular person in Zimbabwe is Chamisa. That's why you see that the statements that are being done, they are targeting Chamisa. Because it's the only popular person. If someone wants to do a coup, they have to go through Chamisa.
Nelson Chamisa, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, man, as we wrap up this conversation, because we are so much constrained of time and we have covered a lot of ground in information with the likes of Kalipani Pugen coming on the show and giving some information. So as we move forward, what do you think is the next step for these guys, whether be it Chamisa or any? Do these guys how can we conscientize these people that are in the opposition? What can be their next move after such a statement that has been released by the government?
Okay, so let me take you back to what I said about Chamisa. That is very weak. He needs to understand that he's very, very weak. At the moment, he doesn't seem to understand it. He thinks he's strong, but he's not. So his decisions must be based on that understanding. So if I was Chamisa, what I would do now, I would go into Poland. That is his next best move. I would go into a negotiation with Kupe. I'll go into negotiation with other opposition parties. Because nothing is going to happen between now and 2023. If anything happens, it won't be Chamisa who benefits. It will be another party
that will benefit.
Yes. So if I was Chamisa, I would move very fast and start working on creating a broad-based coalition of the opposition. I would negotiate with Mnangagwa in Poland. Because if he loses in 2023, that is another 7 years of waiting without even being an official leader of the opposition. So at the moment, what I would do if I was Chamisa is to get in and start working with Mnangagwa, make sure that the economy starts to improve. So that by the time 2023 comes, the discussion is no longer about the economy. It's about how Chamisa contributed to the improvement of the economy. At the moment, he's hoping that people are going to suffer so much that they'll vote him. But that conversation has changed. People want change now. They want an improvement now. They want money in the bank. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit. So Chamisa should jump into Poland at the moment.
Maybe a parting shot that I would want to ask: is it true that there are foreign-based powers that are backing this movement? You spoke about the 2017 coup. Obviously, we saw the envoy from the UK. They quickly came and they came to the inauguration of Emmerson Mnangagwa, of which some people gave a narrative that this whole 2017 coup was supported by the British government. Do you think that this one that they are talking about, it has a hand from the West, and they are really planning on a regime change agenda?
As I said, Chamisa is very weak. You cannot back Chamisa because he cannot take over. So when you see that message coming out, it's not directed at Chamisa. It's directed to other people. This is my thinking. So if Chamisa was strong, he would just take people into the street. But now he can't do it because he doesn't have people who want to go into the street. So someone with guns will have to come out and protect those people so that they can feel safe to go into the street. You saw in 2017, it didn't take 1 day to do that coup. It took days.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's no way Chamisa can be said he's going to do a coup. The only thing he can do with guns is what? I don't maybe shoot a few soldiers, but I don't see that as his method. That's not Chamisa's method. So there's no Western government that can be backing someone who is not going to take over.
Yes. They cannot be that naive.
There's no benefit to it.
Wow, Mr. Pardon Gambakwe, is there anything that you want to share with us as we close this conversation on what is up on the statement by the State Security Minister, Mr. Owen Muda?
Yes. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the Operation Lighthouse. We need to go deeper into that. We need to find out what's happening there. What is that Operation Lighthouse? If we can get some documentation and read that document and maybe we publicize it. What is that Operation Lighthouse? Very key. Secondly, the guys who shot the soldiers in Chivu, they were buried. I think that was last week. Weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
The last weekend.
Yes.
Before we had
it's not clear to me what that guy Chihambakwe was. I don't think that guy was out of the army. From the information that from looking at what he was doing, I don't think he was out of the army. I don't know where he was, what role he was playing, but I have a feeling he was still within the state security apparatus. Then, obviously, we also need to go deeper into that. What was happening there? Who was he working with? And are these guys still out there? We still have the issue of the 2 different AK-47s, the serial numbers. What happened there with those serial numbers? Yes. So very, very key. And then finally, obviously, I want to ask everyone to subscribe to JCTV Zimbabwe. You've been working with me for a very, very long time. I think when you started your very first channel, we already worked together. And I think people should support these new media houses.
Thank you.
And my goal is that we should create hundreds of channels. We need a media industry, and you guys are doing a great job with JCTV Zimbabwe on Facebook and on YouTube. You've been consistent with content, which is amazing.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope that you keep us posted on what is happening and the new information that you'd have gotten. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosike, and I hope that we'll be able to talk again very, very soon.
All right. That was Pardon Gambakwe joining us here on JCTV Zimbabwe, giving us his insights on what